as I'm talking, you can start to feel a slight connection. And that is the recognition of who we are. So there's not any process in any of this, because it's all what you've already known ever since you came here. You brought everything with you. And all we're going to do is push you past the bubble that you've been hiding under for a long time. Most of the things that we'll talk about won't really matter, but the movement that you'll feel will take you to where you've wanted to be for a long time. Over a long period, you've all worked to get rid of all sorts of things, to get past all sorts of things, and to achieve what you could in life, and to improve yourselves as much as you feel you could. We're now going to go straight past that and tell you that you don't have to do that anymore, because not because it's time and not because you've reached any point. It's because you can. There's a big difference. The fact that you are fully aware that you are infinite trust, and that takes a single line between you and infinity, and there's nothing else in between. Infinite trust is who you are, what you are, and it describes everything, not in its words, but in the reality. In the reality of infinite trust, you can feel your whole being. Good. In that single line between here and infinity, everything is contained. Everything you've ever imagined might happen, everything that might define you or define anything you can do, is in that single line between here and infinity. And because you know that, you don't need to access it. It's just you. And you can feel the reality of that simply because I mentioned it. And each one of you is starting to feel an awareness that you don't need anything but that. Even if you start on a path of self-healing, if I say to you, remember that it's automatically programmed into that line of infinite trust, you don't have to do anything except say, oh good, it's programmed to operate automatically. Let's let the automatic work. And don't stop anything, even one little thing you do, because you're working in a whole different realm. You're not working directly with your body, and you're not working at all. You're feeling yourself and knowing yourself as infinite trust. As I mentioned that a few times, you start to settle into the feeling of it and the comfort of it, and you start to generate energies that you've never generated before. But they're all very, very familiar, and they're yours. This is the difference. Every part of you knows exactly what I'm talking about. And the next thing is, if I say to you, let's go past that infinite, one more step. So we go beyond the infinite. You just feel more comfortable. There is no need to be below that point for any reason. And if you push it a little bit further, you'll feel more comfortable again. Good. As you push past the infinite, You can feel your own music, your own frequency starting to generate and project itself past you, beyond infinity, into that nowhere where you belong. And you can feel the transmission of your own being starting to generate its own star. Beautiful. And the more it projects, the bigger the star becomes. And the music is so beautiful, it's endless. And the more the music projects your frequency, the closer you get to that point of birthing the star. And we're all ready to do that. And if I said stop now, you wouldn't. So push it a little further, allow the music to just go and the transmission to increase until the whole lot just bursts into life and expands suddenly right across the universe in a flash that you know so well. And feel the fineness of the energy that's coming back into the physical plane to re-meet with every part of your being, with every energy that surrounds you. Giving the opportunity to regenerate every component to your specification, to your knowing, and to your heart's desire that came here with you. And as you feel that, be willing to project once again up past the infinite to birth the star again, this time beyond the last one. And let it run in automatic. And produce the energies that you desire to come back into the physical plane, to meet once again with the elevated energies that you've now produced, to rebuild every cell, every component, without specification. Simply go back and do it again. And this time, the big one. The one that takes you through the big envelope that's been holding you down and bursts straight through. Brilliant. Allow it all to go straight out into the universe. Fantastic. And now you're out there and you're here. And you've re-met every part of your being that's on the physical plane, that exists throughout the universe and beyond. You now can feel the brilliance of the star that you've regenerated, particularly for your application here in the physical plane. But most of all, you can feel the enormity of your own being and the beauty of your own presence and the continuous flow of what you might call free energy because of your own personal music. You now know that this was in you all the time. This is the step that you've been waiting for. This is the non-return projection that you've always known was in your life. And you don't have to come back, because you have the ability to rebirth that star in a fraction of a second, every time you wish. And it will revitalise every part of the physical world, from out there, from where you belong, not from here. And there is no need to ever come back to the physical plane, because you have a greater access because of who you are. What we've done is assisted you in doing what you were totally ready for. Feel the simplicity. Feel the magic. Feel your own essence. Feel the joy in your heart that you can refire anytime you like. And see how much it is like that spark that comes from a young child that almost turns you inside out with love and hits you in a fraction of a second. And see how they've been trying to tell us for a long time. This is how it's done. Good. That's very significant. That recognition of the fact that we've been trained for a long time by the young ones, and now we're doing it. Brilliant. Brilliant. I'd just like to add that the young ones expect exactly what's happening here, just as you do. And you feel the energy drop a little bit as soon as I said that, because you came back into the original field. Notice that you're having difficulty connecting with any events. You can't stay down in that field anymore, because it doesn't matter how hard you push down, how hard you try to connect everything again, how hard you try to remember. The only thing you'll remember is your own presence. Because you know that that is what it's all about. It's not about anyone else's presence. It's about your presence and your ability to bring the gifts that you have into the world via means that have never been recorded on earth. And each one of you know exactly what that means. There is no explanation, there is no method. There's no requirement, and there's no need. There just is. And there's only you, and you don't have to divide anything up when you're sitting out there where you are now and call it anything. Because there's only your own personal joy of everything that's around you, and your own personal joy of the fact that you know you can create without thought, without need, without even focus, everything that is needed for your own personal being And once you do that, everybody gains. And there's no explanation for that because you know. You know beyond anything that you could ever access from the physical world. What we're going to do now is bring in a little bit more of the unique gifts that you have for this world. The active energies that allow circumstance, events, feelings, joy, and magic to work freely in this world, all driven by them hidden heart's desires that you brought with you to the physical plane. All those desires that you cannot find. They're the ones that make you leap in the air and say, yes, that's it. Every time something comes into your field that's more than a coincidence. Every time a miracle of a flower moving because you're there happens. Those active energies belong to you and can only be held here on this earth by you. They're not supported in the physical plane. So you've brought that in just by me speaking about it. And you can feel it's very active. And those active energies are all around you. They're the ones that turn heads, that turn flowers, that make a child follow you when you walk through the supermarket. They're all the skills that you brought into the physical plane. But they're operated from where you're sitting now, which is way past infinity. Way past any concept. And even way past infinite trust. Beautiful. As we sit in the comfort of one another's field, the only thing we can feel is our own presence. But we can feel a silent harmony. And that silent harmony is the other gift that you bring to yourself. It's a place of total comfort, no matter what. And it's what you project into the physical world by the generation of that star that exploded out into the universe 3 times to solidify your presence in the universe. That complete exercise that we went through can be done in any split second of your life. The whole thing takes less than 0.2 of a second. And at any time you feel that you've lost something, as soon as you look in the eyes of the people who hold your signature, the signature of your divinity that they recognise now and they feel, within 0.2 of a second, it's all back in line. You cannot go backwards. It's now impossible. This is the step you said you were ready for. And it was so simple, so quick, and so easy for every one of you that it's now time to see you all go way past where I am now. This is the start of you bringing your gifts into the physical world, but never returning to the physical world. You simply rebirth that star, project the explosion out into the universe, and allow those fine energies to re-meet the character that's sitting here with all its active energies, every cell of the body, every cell of the being, and every cell of everything that it comes in contact with. That is a continuous process, and it continues because of music and art and the non-linear joy of just about everything we do. Our interaction with nature is never the same twice. Our connection with another person is never the same twice. Allow that to be. You'll find that if you extend yourself a little further, you won't even know what happened yesterday. And I can assure you, it's a little bit disconcerting the first time, but it's exactly what we said we would do. Push ourselves to the point of no return. Then you have the magic. And the music and the arts and the flow that makes you feel brilliant in every second. And the flow between us is a unique combination of each one of our musical outputs. And the transmission that we sent to rebirth the star is our own music. And for a long time we've had to stay on top of the wave so that we didn't get crashed by circumstance. The active energies we brought in just change circumstance for us. Just make everything happen the way it is required for our heart's desire. And if you find at any time you have a desire, bring up a friend, because you've just pulled yourself back into the physical world. There is no desire. There is no need. And there's nothing to do. Because everything that must be done will be done for you because of who you are. This is the skill you bring with you. And you don't need any proof. And you don't care if the world says you didn't do it. You'll just smile and say, yes, I did. You've come a long way in a very, very short period. And remember that you'll go a lot further in the next short period, and the next, and the next, and the next. You've come here as totally brilliant beings who are too big, not just for the body, but too big for this world and too big for this galaxy. And in fact, you now know that when I talk about the universe, it's a small thing. So our measuring system has been a little bit over the top. Each one of us is much more than anything we can possibly focus on. And you know that. As soon as you push yourself past infinity, you say, oh, that's better. And you push yourself past again, you say, oh, that's better again. And when you fly right out of the whole circuit, you go, wow. And you feel the energy of that because you remember. It's a memory system that's got nothing to do with the brain. It's a brilliance that's got nothing to do with light. It's a knowing that's got nothing to do with any experience. And it's a fulfillment that happens every second. Everything about you follows an exponential curve where it goes further and further and further and further and further, and it never ceases. The physical world will be a whole new creation because of who you are, not by what you do. So the active energies that you are allowing to be here now will recreate so many things around you that you'll realise you've got lots of time to play with magic. You've got lots of times to bring out the sparkles. You've got lots of time to move the energies. And you've got lots of time to be a bit, I suppose you'd call it, mischievous. That's what connects the reality to where you are. That's the way you get through to everything. That's what bridges the gap between the child and yourself. That's what bridges the gap between us and the spirit world. You put your keys down, they hide them. It bridges the gap straight away. So the simplest of things are the tools that connect us all together. And that's why a young child can break through anything you like in a fraction of a second just by a movement. And if you don't take any notice of the movement, you'll get an explosion before long. But if you see and you feel the movement, you feel the elegance, you feel that flash that hits you in the heart, even when they're playing and they just look quickly or move quickly and you get it. Our whole purpose is to take that picture and bring it into the world and present it so that it can exist. If you can imagine what your life would have been if your presence had been laid out in the physical world exactly as you projected it when you were tiny. This is where we are now. It's a projection that we spark into this world. It's not us coming down in here and getting stuck. It's our projection of us bringing a whole new reality to all those who follow. Not as a job, not as a procedure, it just is. And we're now in the fortunate position of doing nothing and not being lazy. So many times I've spoken about how everything built up to this, only to get everyone ready for the real thing that is quite obvious to you now. Nothing built up to anything. Nothing had to happen. There were no steps. You already knew. And you didn't do anything except be there. And all the doing that you've done in the past, you probably won't remember. So don't be surprised at how life moves forward from here on, and how things start to disconnect from the moment you walk out of here. Each one of you has a project, and each one of those projects are not needed. Know that you're here because you are you. You're here because you can bring into this world something that you didn't even know you had. You're here because of the mystery of you and because of the brilliance of your magic. And that magic will produce everything in every project that you thought you might have to do by itself. There is never, ever a moment where you have to overload yourself, and never a moment when you have to use your physical energy unless it's already fed to you by you. So you're operating from a whole different world. And each one of you will start to talk about that world in a way that will surprise you, because it is totally comfortable and you're not here doing it. You're back at your origin, which is way beyond the infinite. Way beyond any belief system, way beyond anything. So you can feel there's a little bit of a rise in temperature because I stayed with it long enough for you to actually try to come back. And that starts to cause heat in your body. But as soon as I talk about it, mischief and magic, feel the temperature change again, and the sparkles, and all the things that we all know. The lightheartedness comes back, and you have no resistance. I needed you to feel that, so you can see that everything you do in every moment will give you such strong signals that you'll laugh at yourself, and that'll fix you. The interference that you feel from children will be so interesting to you. You won't believe it. Because the magic is what they love. And I've said many times, you don't have to show a child what to do when you put fairy wings on and a wand. Doesn't matter how small they are. And the active energies that I'm talking about now are just as timid as fairies. But there's so much and so many of the active energies that you'll feel them pull away and come back very, very quickly. They get a little bit frightened of our world, but they'll come back very quickly, and they'll do things for you that you wouldn't believe. For a long time now, I keep telling people that I don't clean my windows. And when we went back to Australia, not last time, the time before, there'd been a little bit of a harsh interaction, and the windows were dirty. So I cleaned half of one, and they're floor-to-ceiling windows, all looking out over the hills. So I cleaned half, and it looked terrible. I said to Barbara, "You watch. They'll know what I'm talking about now." And sure enough, within a week, we didn't really look, did we? No. After about a week, I said, "Have a look at the windows." Perfectly clean. So know that the magic that's created from where you are always works. It's always got a little bit of mischief in it, and it's always easy. And to walk along the street and flick a few you change everyone's life. So that's the fairy dust that everyone responds to. And it's yours, and you brought it all here. And we have a young boy that came to us that wasn't going so well because of lack of acceptance in the world, really. And he now walks around the school flicking the energies and playing with them. He got caught out the other day, he's telling us. The young girl said, "Are you playing with my energies?" So they all know what's happening.
There's more to that story, though.
Oh, there is, yes.
There's more to that story.
When we start to work with people, remember that you're now accessing the part of them that knows. And so don't even hesitate to say to someone, you're not feeling well, you can fix that. This is what you do, and walk away. That same person I'm talking about, he was being taken to the doctor every second day for some 6 months or more. And he had one leg longer than the other, and his back was pretty well bent, and he couldn't focus, and his one shoulder was... And he had trouble concentrating. And as soon as I looked him in the eye and I said, hello, he changed. Then I just said, can you take another step forward and fix that body of yours? And he said, yeah. Okay, do it. Okay. And he started right there and then. 4 days later, he's walking around saying to people, well, I've got my leg up the same length as the other one, I'm straightening my back, and I'll get the rest of it right shortly.
But you saw him on Thursday. What happened on Friday?
Yeah.
That was very exciting.
He went to the doctors again and had an appointment, and he was running a little bit late. It was a group session. And he ended up, because he was a bit late, having a private session with this upmarket physician. And he went in there with his mother, and the physician looked at him and said, have you been seeing someone who understands sensitives? And he didn't know what to say. And his mother said, tell him. So he told him, and the doctor he just changed altogether and started talking about the research he was doing with special children. But he picked it up just by looking him in the eye. So there's plenty of us out there, even hiding behind official positions. So where we've gone now is quite comfortable. You'll notice that we're just here. That's it. And we're not talking about anything really, we're just having a chat. And life is perfect. And that's how it is. That's how it always is. And it gets better every time. Your body, after this, might object a little bit, might get tired. It might even feel a bit stiff. It doesn't matter. So what? It'll object from time to time, and it'll come good. If you shut down totally, don't be surprised also, because you are going forward so fast now that you may have to reprogram yourself a bit. And you'll just disappear for a while and then come back and say, wow, that was a bit strange. But with a big smile in your heart. Because you now have total connection to yourself. Yeah.
May I ask a question?
Yeah.
What does shut down mean?
Means-
Thank you. It's an Australian
Yeah.
term for taking a nap.
Oh,
So
Thank you.
it's like turning off the computer. Yeah.
that's much better than what I thought.
And I knew you thought that.
Some of the Australian is a bit hard to catch, but it works. Thanks. One of the things that you'll find you'll do without any problems at all now is speak up whenever, and it won't matter. And you won't even feel that it means anything, because it's a projection from a long, long way away. And you're not subject to any reaction. Somebody can react, but you just wait for them to finish. Doesn't matter. So the other thing that is important is to know that you have a lot of control over the energies around you and the energies around everybody else. But it's not controlled from here. It's controlled from you. But you can physically move your hands and you'll feel the energies move. And you can all do that. And you can flick the sparkles to people and you can change everything. But remember, it's happening from somewhere else. And that's what gives it the sparkle. Do it. Use it. Play with it. Play with the magic. Affect lives. And walk past and just smile about it. It's like flicking some energy to someone when they're miserable and then standing there with a straight face while they start to laugh. This is the way we change the world around us. From this level, from higher levels, where you are sitting, you'll change it because. Full stop. Period, you call it. And it's not because of anything. It's just is. Everything just is. And what you carry is beyond anything you imagined. And once again, it just is. All definitions will disappear, have disappeared. They really don't mean anything. And why do you have to believe anything when you already know it? That's the reasoning part of this body. You'll find you won't get to that, even if you try. It won't work for you. So many of the things that we've used in the past suddenly won't work. The thing to know is the further you push forward, the quicker the overall vision of the new world will come in around the physical being. The further you go, the more new reality appears in your wake. Not for you to see, but for everybody else to see and follow. Because your purpose is to be the new world. Not to live it, not to be it in any other way except you. And you're not a component of it, you're it. Good. That's important to know. It's important to feel. So we've gone a long way, yes.
Could you repeat that? You're not a component of it, but you are it?
Yes.
Is that what you said?
Yep. And if you go with that for any more than a fraction of a second, it's true. Great. Great. That was a very good example. That's all it takes. You don't have to vision anything. When you know it is, when it is, you know. So I'm going to let you all just have a little bit of a relax. And I suggest we all get some water because I would have driven a lot of fluids out of your system. And you need to replenish and just walk around a little bit, and we'll come back again in about 10 minutes.